The Senators have seen a bit of a rough start to this new season. After a pretty strong opening week or so, we're now at 8-1, and the injury bug has been ruthless and relentless. Of course, right now dealing with injuries to Logan Brown, Mark Borowiecki, and Erik Brannstrom. In the meantime, we're still going to look to see how this team can do. I don't think 17 games, especially with the injuries and how infrequently this team's been at full strength, full capacity, I don't think that I want to immediately kind of jump the gun and make panic changes. We're going to give this team an opportunity to bail themselves out as Darcy Kuemper goes down to injury. We did beat the Vegas Golden Knights 4-1 in that game, but that's not a promising sign. So one Filip Gustafsson, he'll start. Prosvetov would have played the remainder of that game. So it's a huge moment here for Gus, who I scratched heading into that game. It's a huge moment for him to try and win back the backup job if he can beat Boston, and he loses 3-2. So already one of the main developing stories of this season has to be the struggles of Filip Gustafsson in terms of actually getting something done. Kuemper, it looks like, actually played that full game, but was injured at the end because Prosvetov didn't have anything set up. So Kuemper is back from injury, which is great news. He must not be the only one, as he is not. Borowiecki is nearly healthy, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fedor Gudiev forever will be sent down. Borowiecki will not play until he is 100% healthy, so a start here for Ivan Prosvetov against the Philadelphia Flyers. Big moment for him. Logan Brown is back. I have no idea if Prosvetov won that game or not. Let's take a look. Ivan, did you win? You did. Hello. Oof. Gustafsson, you are in a little bit of trouble, sir. Just a bit. Forward-wise, with Logan Brown being back, he's not at 100%. I actually don't know who the hell we're going to send down here. I think it's going to be Cedric Paquette, who gets draw. Ha ha ha. We are not sending Brady Tkachuk on waivers. Thank you very much, game. Thank you very much. We actually played Paquette for a couple of games. Let's get Scott Sabourin back in now. And Prosvetov will start this game as well until 3 out of the 4 injured players are at 100%, which they should be by the time this game against the Panthers happens to roll around. So despite the injuries, the last episode as well may have been highlighted, of course. We ended up losing one Parker Kelly, which not the biggest loss in the world. It certainly could have been worse, but still a pretty decent loss for the team that shook up the fourth line. We end up with Brian Boyle, who is now on the fourth line. And, of course, we'll take a look here sooner rather than later at how well he's been doing. Filip Gustafsson is going to be scratched. Darcy Kuemper will get the start here. Prosvetov, though, making a push to be a full-time backup. Johnny Tykonik, only 3 games played, didn't do that poorly. And because of that, we're going to take out Ilya Lyubushkin and bring in Borowiecki, who will play alongside Lassie Thompson. So, not a bad little setup there. Of course, Boro normally alongside Erik Brannstrom. And then we need to get Logan Brown back in here. It would be Melker Karlsson, who is going to take a seat for him. So the team getting close to being 100%. It's been a rarity. Let's see how we do against the Florida Panthers. Thomas Chabot hurts his foot. Well, there's your answer. He's out for the rest of the month. Minor injury for him. We will just go ahead and sim this game against New Jersey, because Prosvetov will get the chance in the next game, as we do get the 3-1 win for Kuemper. So decent there. 3 out of 4 points from Darcy over those 2 games. Lyubushkin's on the top pairing with Bernard Docker, which makes a decent amount of sense. But what we're going to do is actually put Lyubushkin with Thompson and then go Borowiecki with Bernard Docker. And goaltending-wise, we should still be good. So, again, Brannstrom and now Chabot out due to injury. The injury bug has been ruthless. I forgot to change the goaltenders, if I'm not mistaken. Did I change Kemper? That's the entire reason that we went there. Nope, we didn't. All right, well, cool. Darcy played a back-to-back. Whatever, we'll leave him in. He hasn't played a full season. He ended up losing to Montreal. If he loses to New York, we'll change it up. Although we will have full strength. Yes, there we go. All right, play Darcy in a back-to-back. Loses the second game. Loses the next game after that. And still things have been a little bit shaky. A little bit inconsistent for the Sens at this point. December 1st, though, coming up here. A pretty good point in which to decide. Maybe take a look at the team and say, okay, here's kind of how we're looking. I mean, playoff-wise, we're on the verge of a top 3 spot. We're not exactly being left behind. Chabot is healthy, which is tremendous news for me. I want to go best lines, but it might mess up the power play. So let's put Borowiecki back down. Of course, Liabushkin was in for Chabot. And we are good there for the moment. Again, Prosvetov will get an opportunity. I want to try to wait until this team is healthy, but I don't know if that's the best way to go. We have a back-to-back coming up. Maybe we'll take a look at the end of that. Mika Kapanen is healthy for the baby Sens. It's a win for Prosvetov, so he'll get the start against Florida. Hopefully he can get the victory here. Would be very nice. He's off to a very strong start this season. As gets shut out by the Panthers, so not necessarily ideal there. Up and down just continues to be the trend for this team right now. A 929 for Prosvetov, a 921 for Kemper. And of course with Gustafsson, 6 appearances and just not great. So don't know what to make of that. Defensively, Bernard Docker has been, he needs to be doing better than that. 6 points, an even rating, not great. Chabot, when healthy, has been pretty solid. Got to give him that. Lajoie has been reliable. Tyconic has been okay while Brandstrom's out. Not upset about that. Lassie Thompson, not exactly putting up the points as an offensive defenseman. And Borowiecki, 13 games played out of the 26, but he's been solid. Tkachuk, 24 points, looking pretty good. Colin White, a little bit slower of a pace than we need to see from him. Just 19 points. And Lafreniere with just 17. So the top line not scoring like they were last year. Alex Formanton still just 1 goal in the season, 15 points. Nemesnikov with 18. And you can tell we're kind of missing Kovalchuk right now. Taylor Hall has been pretty solid, all things considered. You have Anthony Duclair, 8 points. The 10 for Norris and 8 for Logan Brown. Kastelik, Brian Boyle, that's not it, Chief. And Scott Sabourin has lost a little bit of the magic as well. So I do love Scott Sabourin, but it's just not there right now, unfortunately. And I don't know what the answer to that is going to be. As, boy, I wish I could change the centers over, but it's just not something I can do. Colin White's not necessarily a good fit for the third line either. White's not a perfect fit for this team in terms of chemistry. He is actually better on the third line than he is on the first. Norris is better on the first. The only reason I'm looking at this is I'm wanting to see kind of how we could potentially change things up. Potentially. A lot of different combinations we could run, actually, from this setup. 85 face-offs for White. Formanton, not a great center, so that wouldn't necessarily be ideal. We do need to move Boyle and Sabourin out of that situation. That fourth line is just not working. Kastelik's going to get the opportunity, I think, still, to try and make something happen. Melker Karlsson. Is it really not going to show me? Come on, game. I'm pretty sure he wasn't the best fit for the fourth line either. But we need to change something up. And that fourth line is one of the easiest things to touch up for the moment. I mean, Kastelik just hasn't been great either. So, I mean, I think we need to completely rework that fourth line. So that is when you could talk about a lot of these younger players. But most of these guys are skill guys and aren't great for that fourth line spot. I mean, even someone like Naslund could be a grinder, but then again, a grinder, it's just like, hey, you don't have to be the most physical. Just be, I mean, in theory, it's be the most physical, but it's like if you just be like a fast pest, you don't have to be able to light somebody up like a freaking prime Rob Blake just throwing hip checks everywhere. Problem is we just don't know how a lot of these guys fit in with the team. But I think right now is the moment. It's make or break where we need to see how certain players fit in with the team. So Balser, Schlappick, and Batharson, I'm going to be looking at them to be called up here for Sabourin, Kastelik, and Boyle. If we lose anybody on waivers, so be it. We did not. And for one Melker Karlsson, I might try to send him down as well, just to see kind of what we have there. Abramov is also 24 at this point, so I'm going to try to send Karlsson through waivers, and he made it. That's tremendous. So I have a little bit more maneuverability now in terms of what we want to do. We're going to see who the best fit for this team happens to be, and we're going to see really again if these guys have any opportunity on this team. So Balsers at this point has to be a top 6 option. There is flat out no space for him in the top 6. There just isn't. I don't see how that would possibly happen. So I think at this point we just got to try to cut ties and get a little bit of value back. He's never going to make the top 6. It's not a chance. Not with Formanton being a medium top 6. It's not going to happen. And even then, he's better on the first line than he is on the second line. And where the hell is he going to find space on that first line? He can't play center. So Rudolph Balcers is probably off of this team. Vitaly Abramov. You know, anywhere in the top 9, there's a potential argument. I mean, it's worth checking to see what Anthony Duclair can do in the top 6. It's worth it. But if he's struggling, you know, then maybe we give Abramov the chance. That's about the best we can do. The problem is Formanton is so much better on that second line, but he's just not exactly setting the world on fire right now. So we'll see about Abramov. But Balcers is definitely out. Philip Schlappick at this point. Okay, third line for him as well. Could also work. It's kind of the same thing. We need to wait to see what's going to happen with Anthony Duclair. And then there's Drake Batharson, who does fit on the 4th line. Okay, so Batharson right now has a pretty good shot of fitting in on this team. And to be honest, I think maybe we just go with these 3 that we know are going to work on the team. If we put them as grinders, it might possibly maybe be okay. Maybe. It'd probably be an even rating. So we know that's not necessarily going to work. The only real option to save one of them is to get rid of Duclair. And that's just not something that I'm willing to do. So we might see if we can salvage that, but I can't really promise any of them spots outside of Batharson, who does fit on the team. So quickly here, this is, you know, the last episode was like this too. We just keep taking kind of twists and turns with this series where it's like, okay, here we've come to this crossroads that I did not expect us to come to at this particular point. So it is taking a little bit to get through this season sim, obviously. But we got to do what we got to do. So Balcers, we are going to look to shop. There's just no room for him here anymore. 4th, a 3rd, and a 7th. A 3rd and a 7th from the Oilers, which sounds about right for an unproven talent. And we'll see if that 6th round pick, a 5th or a 6th, will work instead. And I doubt it will from the looks of it, but a 3rd round pick from the Oilers for an unproven commodity. It's going to have to be a 3rd and a 7th. Done deal for me. 3rd round pick next year, 7th this year. Balcers, we'll catch you later, buddy. We'll catch you later. It just was not a fit for this particular team. Just too much talent ahead of him on the depth chart. So then that brings us to the rest of the forwards. Again, we still have 10, 11, 12 with Abramov We need to find fits for that fourth line. We really do. We're going to try Ludwig Naslund, because we might as well. Can test out Gruden and Pinto as well. I mean, again, there is that argument of, are they better suited top line AHL or getting NHL time even on the fourth line? It's worth checking them out. So Naslund is next. Good old Ludwig Naslund. How good of a fit are you on this particular team? I think Schlappick and Abramoff, there's a good chance they're going to be dealt here. Naslund. Decent fit for the fourth line. Better fit for the third line. Okay. I think that spells the end for Abramoff or Philip Schlappick, and it's kind of a tough call. It's one of them or it's Duclair. I like Anthony Duclair. He fits in on that line. The issue is, Abramoff's 24. Schlappick is not exactly a spring chicken either, so it's not like we're stunting development by not playing them. It's got to be one of those two. And it's going to be whoever has the lesser value, which I imagine would be Philip. Let's take a look here. And they're about even. I'd probably get rid of Schlappick here. A year older, only an overall point better. He can play center, though, but not exactly well. Philip, hate to say it, buddy. I think you're on the way out. There's a very good chance Vitaly Abramoff's going to join him. Third and the fourth from Edmonton. Third and the fourth from the Rangers. We'll go ahead and send him out to the Edmonton Oilers as well. So the Oilers taking away some of our bit parts at this point. But out of desperation, it's call up some of these young guys. Do they fit in with the team? Oh, they don't? Okay, well, they're gone. That's pretty much all we can afford to do. Let's call up Johnny Gruden, and we'll test out Shane Pinto after this and see if he happens to fit on the fourth line. And if he does, then I hate to say it, but Vitaly Abramoff might also be on the way out. Johnny Gruden, not a fit for that particular fourth line. Again, it kind of sucks we have to call players up to double check how they fit in on the NHL side of things, but hey, we're doing what we got to do. I know the argument was like, oh, well, just turn off waivers while you're messing around with it. Point remains that, it's worth knowing how these guys are going to fit in on the team and if they're going to be able to make the jump over who's already on the roster. So I mean, the AHL team loses a bit of their kind of stacked nature, but that's okay. Pinto is definitely not a fit for the fourth line. No real surprise there. So we are kind of struggling to find an in-house replacement. There is Carlson, Paquette. I'm going to give Pilar a bit of an opportunity here because he's not affected by waivers either. After that, we're going to still look at some of the younger players. I think Jordy Bellerive was there as well. Let's take a look here at old Pilar. How well do you fit in on the fourth line? The answer is decently well. So I think we have our new fourth line for the next bit. We're going to see how these particular line combinations work out. I'm going to give Josh Norris a huge, huge opportunity on this team to make an impact. Again, we are still without Mr. Brandstrom, but we're definitely going to give this team an opportunity. So in terms of certain changes, because we are going to have to make certain changes, Norris is going to get to be a playmaker. I don't know who the hell I want to be the power forward on this line. I guess it's going to be Duclair. It just kind of makes sense. That third line is now going to be Alex Formanton as a two-way forward. Colin White gets to be a two-way forward. Logan Brown, of course, good where he is. Was Logan Brown? No, he wasn't. It was just kind of slow to load. And then again, this new fourth line, a lot of these young guys, we are going to see what they are capable of at this point. You know, again, I had the strategy at the start of the year of let's see kind of how they do in the AHL and those top line roles, but unfortunately it seems like Parker Kelly, granted he wasn't having the best season, but felt like the glue that was holding that fourth line together, and that fourth line just has not had the same spark that it had in seasons past. So definitely a time to make a change. So Vitaly Abramov, no real way of knowing how well he's going to fit in. I'm going to make him a two-way just in case there are injuries. He is the healthy scratch on this roster right now, because otherwise it's risking putting him through waivers. Oh boy, the menu lag has been brutal today. Otherwise we risk putting him through waivers, and that will just be, you know, an issue that's not worth it. You know, potentially losing him for free. And good old Richard Pilar is going to get the chance. We'll get a first look at Richard Pilar. Love the tilted up visor like a regular Leo Komarov. Good on you there, Pilar. Let's see, left wing side of things. We have Duclair. Big moment for Anthony Duclair. I mean, if he just kind of goes middle of the road here, it's tough to not go back to Formenton, just because we know it's a +5 on that second line, although you can argue, well, the second line hasn't exactly been amazing this season. Formenton hasn't exactly been amazing this season. Still just 1 goal to date on the year for Alex Formenton. It really makes you wonder. I'm talking about this series, just what could have been. It's kind of been the trend in videos lately, but what could have been this past season had all gone according to plan, had we won. You know, because that team last year was pretty well crafted. I mean, you know, Kovalchuk doing as well as he did certainly helped. It's one of those tough situations where, you know, we were kind of forced into making some changes and to try and use the youth a little bit. Obviously, then free agent signings went kind of crazy because I didn't expect everybody to accept that offer. And we basically lowballed all 4 of them, and they all accepted, so that caused a little bit of havoc. You know, unpredictability. Fun thing. Unpredictability has been the theme of an Ottawa Senators franchise mode series. So, you know, I feel like we're doing things right. I feel like things are going appropriately for us if that is indeed the case. Only other change we have to make here. I was tempted and I was thinking, should I jump cut this as I was going? But there were certain things I wanted to talk about that would have potentially just been, you know, lost, pushed aside had we not talked about them now. Speaking of which, with the NHL team good, the AHL I'm not as worried about chemistry-wise. That's something I'll try to fix or remember to fix off-screen heading into the next episode. So for now, we get to play the Nashville Predators after all of those changes, and we'll see what happens. Big win there. We'll keep the same goaltender and the same lines for this game against Buffalo, in which Cam Dineen fractures his elbow down in Belleville, and Pilar suffers a pulled groin. So a huge opportunity for Pilar. He immediately goes down to injury. So Abramov is in on the 4th line. We've won 2 in a row. Logan Brown with an injury as well. This is insane. We have won 3 games in a row, but I'm quite sure right now we're running a defenseman. Indeed we are. Ilya Lyabushkin is getting a chance. I do wonder... I wonder how, say, like Bernard Docker would do. I'm okay with running Ilya Lyabushkin on that 4th line at a -1. It's not the best look in the world, but it's short term, so it's not even worth calling somebody up right now. Pittsburgh, can we make it 5 in a row, I think? No, we cannot. Same goalie will play against Anaheim as Abramov suffers a concussion. Jesus. We have had some god-awful luck as Eric Brandstrom is just about back, which means not Ilya Lyabushkin, Johnny Tyconic, who's been pretty solid, he is going to be sent down so he can get more playing time. And then at the NHL level, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10. 11 and 12 will be Carlson, Paquette, And we'll even call up Matthew Perreault just to kind of hang around. Best move for us, I think, is just bring in Perreault, let him hang around a little bit. So we'll go best lines. I am going to have to fix up the team a little bit. We'll go with that on the fourth line. Go with that on the third line. Make a couple of changes here and there, and that looks okay. Defensively, Brandstrom will not be playing until he is at 100%. So Ilya Lyubushkin will get the opportunity. Borowiecki, Bernard Docker will keep that +5. That's perfectly fine by me. Let's go with Lyubushkin, Bernard Docker, Borowiecki, and Chabot. Has it been Prosvetov playing? I don't think so. So Ivan will get the chance. It was a pretty good run there for Darcy Kuemper. We'll go best lines down in the AHL for now. And we'll get multiple games here for Prosvetov, New Jersey, and Boston as Brandstrom is back to 100%. I'm going to piss him off by sitting him out a game because I just don't care enough to edit and then edit it back as we lose to the Bruins in a shootout. So we'll see Brandstrom complain here in a moment. Ilya Lyubushkin will be dropped. Brandstrom is back. He will play with Mark Borowiecki. Everything else is somehow, someway looking okay, although goddamn these injuries. So Prosvetov still has great numbers. And down in the AHL, let's get Ashton Shaw. A decent little run here. Of course, with auto-rotate off, it's a little bit problematic. So let's see. Pittsburgh, Pilar is back from injury. Good news there. He's going to be on the fourth line. Logan Brown almost back as well. Jesus. Let's just send down Matthew Perreault. We'll still be able to limit. Matthew Perreault, Carlson, Paquette. Screw it. Send them all down. Send them all down. And again, we're just going to have to go best lines and fix this up. Pilar is the healthy scratch. We just have to hope that everyone in this lineup is back to 100% before we end up playing. Otherwise, that is going to be extremely problematic. Ooh, we get a +5 with that particular setup there. I'm going to put Taylor Hall back on the top line. That works for me. And then defensively, let's go ahead and make that change once more. So good chance again for Kuemper. Shaw is still in over Sjogard, although we have to go best lines with the changes that happened there. Ooh, the injury management right now. We have just had some awful luck. So a nice 3-0 win there, I think, for Prosvetov. Abramov's 100% healthy, but we're not too worried about him. Second in the division right now, a point above the Florida Panthers. As Paquette gets hurt in Belleville. Man, the injuries have been insane. Bernard Docker gets injured. This is crazy. We've had the slider on the same thing throughout this series, but the luck has never been this bad. Yet here we are. This team is having a bitch of a time trying to stay healthy. So we've lost 2 in a row. Pure laziness. I don't make the switch. We do get the win there. Prosvetov wins this next game. He stays in the lineup. So Kuemper still rocking a 923. Let's see what happens with Prosvetov as he gets a nice little 4-1 win. We're going to start him against Columbus as well. Although now Jacob Bernard Docker is back from injuries. So Ilya Lyubushkin will take a seat once more. Multiple players in Belleville. Just go replace player. That's fine. So final game of December as we head into 2023. It's a shootout loss. We find ourselves on January 1st in first place. Game at hand the Panthers have on us, but we are 3 points above them. Toronto running away with it. But despite all the changes, despite the games lost, we're hanging in there, which is shocking. I think it's really, as you can tell, it's been off the back of some fantastic goaltending. Not from Philip Gustafsson. Abramov, 1 goal in the 3 games he played. Lyubushkin has been an okay depth defenseman, not amazing. And then defensively, Bernard Docker, still just 7 points. That's incredibly disappointing. And a +2. That's not great. Chabot's looking much better. Borowiecki's been pretty solid as well. He and Brandstrom make for a really good pairing. And then you have Lajoie and Thompson. Again, Thompson's point total is pretty disappointing, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with the defense. Brady Tkachuk on 36 points in 39 games, pretty solid. 14 points, though, for Norris. He is just, it's not clicking for Josh Norris. He has 2 goals since we bumped him up a line. Hall on 19 and 9. Duclair on 14 points. Nemesnikov, I mean, yeah, we just don't have the same, we just don't pack the same punch that we did offensively. Although I feel like Formanton and White are doing significantly better on the third line. Drake Batherson's been fantastic on the fourth. Naslin's been pretty solid, and Pilar's been okay too. So that fourth line's working out pretty well. It's just that we've had some scoring issues on this team, unfortunately. And I don't really know what the answer is to get everybody going. We're going to try that, despite the fact that it has the lesser chemistry. But clearly, chemistry hasn't been everything for us this season. Let's see what happens. We got a little bit more of a ways to go. St. Louis is next. Camden Ian healthy down in Belleville. It's a loss to the Blues. Tampa is next. We have a game basically every other day for the foreseeable future. Tampa, it is a win. Literally every other day. Los Angeles, it is a win. The schedule's insane. Chicago, as we continue to try and keep pace with the Panthers. Borowiecki, another minor injury for him. Good Lord. We did beat the Blackhawks, though. This has been a tremendous run for this team right now. New Jersey, 4-1 loss. So that winning streak comes to an end. Toronto is next. And we win that against the division leaders. Now just 9 points back. And one more game here for Kemper in this crazy run, as he'll play Dallas in a game where Thomas Chabot injures his hand. He'll miss a couple of games. So all in all, still a pretty good run for this team. We definitely do not want Abramoff as our depth defenseman, I can tell you that much. So let's go ahead and make a change here. Can't call up Nikita Zaitsev. He's hurt, so it's going to be Johnny Tyconic, who again gets a bit of a bump up, and we'll see what he can do. Stepping in for Thomas Chabot. Pretty good scenario for him to be stepping into. He works very well alongside Bernard Docker. Kemper rocking a .922 right now. And then goaltending-wise, Ashton Shaw has actually been better than Sjogard, so Ashton will continue to get the opportunity. Let's just go best lines in the AHL for now. Sjogard up to a 76, but has not been the better goaltender by any stretch of the imagination. Just go ahead and make that change. I mean, obviously we've lost the chemistry for this team. That doesn't surprise me with the amount of changes that we've had to make. Belleville went from being of the utmost importance to having pretty much no focus. A good win there. We're going to roll with Prosvetov until he falters. So it's Edmonton, Lajoie, sore knee, good Lord. And we did lose to Edmonton in that game. I was hoping someone would be back to 100%, and Mark Borowiecki has answered my prayers as we quickly approach what's going to be a very interesting month of February based off of where we are in the playoffs, who's not getting the job done, and what could potentially be done to either improve this team or take away from it a little bit. So we'll leave the defense the way that it is. I want to get to February 1st, and then we will take a look at some stats and see what we have from there. Best way to handle it. So Los Angeles is next. The Flames fire their head coach. We lose 4-1 to the Kings. Calgary, brutal team. This needs to be a win, and it's not. So back-to-back losses. 4-1 Darcy Kemper. Oh boy, it's not ideal. His save percentage still hanging in there, above a .920, but no real guarantee. As San Jose is next, good chance for Prosvetov to earn perhaps an extended run. Lajoie is back in the lineup, which means Tyconic will be sent down again. How is Johnny Dunn? He has 2 points and is a +1 in 19 games. So he is at least a stable presence, that Johnny Tyconic. Suppose I can't really complain. Defensively, let's just hope that Chabot ends up being 100% healthy. It's really all I can root for right now. We'll go past lines, and then let's start getting Sjogard a couple of games. Shaw's played a lot of them in a row. 6-3 loss, so a pretty brutal couple of games here in January as we approach the end of the month. We've hit the totally not all-star break where hopefully this team will get back to 100% health for the first time in God knows how long. As Chabot is good to go. Anybody else? There's Max Lajoie. Otto Koivula is on waivers. 78 overall, 24 years old. I mean, basically the same type of player that we just traded away. I will absolutely pick up Koivula for the AHL. Yes, please. So we claim Otto Koivula. He'll fill in, some of the spots that were really opened up with the trades we had to make. And that actually brought us all the way to February 4th. So as of this day, we are in a playoff spot. We have the tiebreaker on the Florida Panthers, which is pretty promising. Let's take a look at some numbers again. So obviously goaltending, we just looked. Kemper and Prosvetov have been pretty solid. Gustafsson, not so much. The issue with Gustafsson is that he's waiver eligible. So really the first thing to do right now is to see what his trade value is and to see what we could potentially get for him. Because if it's anything useful, it's not worth just sitting there and having the value kind of wither away. If it's not really that high a value, I mean, we might as well keep him around for the season. Let me see what I could potentially get for him. Of course, man, Wallsted's a 77 right now. 3rd round pick for Gustafsson. We have that option as to whether or not we think it's worth just holding on to him or if we want to try and get a 3rd round pick for him. So I'm going to leave that up to you. Let me know what you think we should do with Gustafsson. Not the biggest sample size for him this season. We are 100% healthy, which is great news. So Bernard Docker, again, not the best point total in the world. He's been okay. Higher expectations for him, though. Thomas Chabot, thinking about Bernard Docker, 48 games played. Of course, we played, 51? So Chabot right now, solid. Pretty damn good, actually. Pretty happy with that. Bushkin has been shaky. I don't know if he should be the healthy scratch defenseman anymore, but he does fit in amazingly with this team. We could check Gleason, Dineen, Phillips, Gurdiev to see if they fit in any better. Brandstrom's been very good when healthy. Borowiecki's been very good when healthy. Lassie Thompson, not quite the point totals I want. And then, of course, Max Lajoie is here, and he has been very good when healthy. So I think we can look at a different depth defenseman. Obviously, Zaitsev's on this team, but we know he doesn't fit in well with the coaching style. So, I mean, you're talking about, I want Johnny Tyconic to play full-time, so you're talking Dineen, Phillips, Gleason, or Fedor Gurdiev, potentially replacing Leah Bushkin. But I think our top 6, defense, when healthy, is very solid. I can't really complain about it. I think, too, the goaltending this year has really kind of shown that the defense is pretty solid. Looking at the forwards, I mean, obviously a lot's changed already. Abramov has still only played those 3 games. Brady Tkachuk, not as good as it could be, let's be honest. 96 points last year. He has 40 in 51 games. The shooting percentage is down, so Brady needs to step up. Nemesnikov, 31 points. He had 91 last year. Has a better shooting percentage this season. Just hasn't been getting it done on the power play. I wonder if he's actually still there like he should be, but Nemesnikov, disappointing right now. Alexis Lafreniere has been very disappointing. 24 points for him is unacceptable. Anthony Duclair, 23 points. No, it's not what we need. It's just not. Josh Norris has turned it around a bit. Still only has 26 points, though. Taylor Hall has been pretty damn solid when he plays. Only 39 points, though, but 25 goals. Formanton's certainly been better on the third line without this, bright of a spotlight. White's still solid. Brown's, right on pace to have 30 points, which is what I want from him. But then you look at Batharson, Naslund, Pilar. That's been a very solid fourth line. Very solid indeed. So really the only move I would say that could be or should be made there is still move Duclair and just kind of mix and match the lines a little bit until we get a combination that works. I'm not saying Duclair deserves to be traded, but out of everybody there, he's the one I'm most likely to move. So some potential options. Obviously, we don't have as many guys in line waiting for a call-up, but still some interesting options heading into this trade deadline day, and what we could look to do with this team as we're going to push for the playoffs. It's just a matter of whether or not we're good enough to make it.